Lots more to talk about when it comes to the OnePlus Nord. A lot of different information, images, also the retail box and even the launch date has been made clear over the last few days. So firstly, we do get a first look at the retail box of the OnePlus Nord. This actually comes from various marketing images that were actually found on some Amazon listings. And yeah, so they were pretty much leaked accidentally on purpose, listed on Amazon, not specifically available, but obviously leakers doing their thing, they found the images. But we also get some very quick sneak peeks at the actual device in hand, and it does tell us quite a lot about the phone. Firstly, it will keep the alert slider, and this is something I guess now fairly unique to OnePlus phones. I can't really think of many other flagship or mid-range phones that actually keep an alert slider on there. Definitely something that is very OnePlus, and it's pretty cool to have it on the OnePlus Nord as well. This also does tell us one thing, and that is that the OnePlus Nord isn't going to be a one-for-one rebranded phone like we see some other brands doing, especially Poco, just taking Redmi phones and putting a different badge on. This will be a unique OnePlus phone with some unique features. That's definitely a good thing. I fully expect them to be using some internal components that have probably been used in some other BBK phones, Oppo phones, Realme phones, especially that front camera system, which does look to have been used already. But this is going to be a new OnePlus phone, definitely a good thing. Also confirmed by this is a flat display, but we definitely weren't expecting any curves on there. 90 Hz refresh rate, that has been confirmed by a few leakers. OnePlus a long time ago said they weren't using 60 Hz anymore in any of their phones. So 90 Hz flat OLED panel on this one. Now also when it comes to the screen, and if we look closely at these very fleeting images, it looks like I can actually work out how the screen has been placed into the body, and that tells us something about the design of the phone. So really in smartphones, there are two ways that you can actually put the screen panel into the chassis of the phone. The first one is like flagships do it, which is having the screen panel absolutely flush with the chassis and the sides. There is absolutely no difference in terms of height or anything like that between the actual screen panel glass and the chassis. It's super premium, and really flagship phones use this design. The second way of doing things though is how some cheaper mid-range and budget phones do it, which is essentially having the screen panel on top of the chassis. And you can clearly see a difference between the screen panel and the chassis. It sits on top. There's a definite ridge between the chassis and the screen panel. It doesn't look as premium. It doesn't look as good for sure. There really isn't much difference between how the screen actually works on the phones. But for sure, flush does look more premium. It's more expensive to manufacture as well. Also, we get a look at the back, and it looks pretty premium on the back actually. Actually, this color reminds me a little bit of the S20 Ultra's color. Also, the long camera array, dare I say, looks a little bit like a Realme camera array, but I think it has its own design, definitely more squared off overall. And talking about the launch, we now know 21st of July, we will find out everything about this phone. The launch date, which is also an online launch, no offline launches, but the 21st of July, we will see this thing for real. Something else we have recently found out about the phone though, which is a really good spec also, especially for mid-range phones, because not many mid-range phones have this. Some are starting to get it, especially Redmi. They were, I think, one of the first to offer this, which is optical image stabilization on the main camera lens. The benefit of OIS, it just gives more stable video. At least it can stabilize the video a bit easier, so you may not have to crop in as much with digital cropping. So yeah, it's definitely a good bit of hardware. It's good to see it in mid-range phones. Other than that, we know that the phone is using a Snapdragon 765 processor, which it's a Snapdragon chipset, usually has good image processing for video, good image stabilization electronically as well. So shouldn't really have many issues. Still going to be a mid-range chip, so not going to have the dynamic range as you get with the flagship SoCs, but it's a solid mid-range chip in this phone. And that is all the latest news with regard to the OnePlus Nord. Only a few weeks now for the official launch, and I'm sure we'll find out a lot more before then as well. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.